Good morning, folks. Welcome to Ash Ellen Talks. You guys hearing today from Dubai, and today here the time right 6:38 p.m. on Thursday. We are recording this podcast in my studio. So we're having an important guest, as I mentioned before. And if you have seen my previous post and the studio stuff, you will find the upcoming podcast and all. So this is the latest podcast we are recording to here, and as I mentioned, an important guest, very important guest, Ellie Laliberté. Welcome to Ash Ellen Talks.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Wow. With that spirit, we'll dive directly into the podcast question, and we have a lot to discuss today, but especially and specifically a one book she wrote, and she's a special author for that book, Letters from You to You. So, Ellie, I would ask a first question that. So, what inspired you to write a book? I mean, even myself, I'm thinking. So, we have knowledge on some specific areas, and if we want to write a book, so we should be master on that area, and it's a guidance to other people. And I have seen a lot of editions are coming, latest version, and they are editing the books, and it will republished again. Some good authors and some books around the world, which is remarkable. And what is the motive behind it, Ellie?
So I consider myself a intuitive writer. When I write, I don't really think about like how to structure everything. It just really comes naturally, and it's been like that since I was like 21 years old. I did not go to school to go and study writing at all. It has always been intuitive. So my way of doing things is kind of like different from people that are really, wanting to write a book in a really structured way. Although I do work for the publishing house that did my book. So I am a book coach as well today, so I can guide people into how to write a good book with a nice structure. It was really funny because speaking about structure, when I sent my manuscript to my publisher back in January 2024, um, I just sent out the manuscript. I had written the book in like a month, and when she received it, she was like, she told me basically, she said, this is amazing. Like we rarely have to like we rarely don't touch a manuscript, and your manuscript is so well organized, like we rarely see that. And so that was really nice to hear. I do believe that the reason why this flows just like that is because I'm very channeled when I do write. So I feel like it's just easy. Although it's been fun to know that I am organized in my writing because I had no idea that what I was doing was actually, a structured way of writing a book. So I was very pleased of knowing that. But yeah, so for anybody who wants to for anybody who wants to write a book, I mean, it is something that we can master along the way, but at the same time is like if you don't try to even start with like an introduction, then you're never gonna write a book because you can absolutely find people to guide you in writing a book. You don't have to do it all on your own. And this is why the companies like that exist, which is our hybrid publishing houses, and they just partner up with you to be able to bring your story alive in a book, and it's very well organized too. So I would really recommend people to put their stories out there a lot more and not be afraid. As for me, what inspired me to write this book, this is my second book. So the first book that I wrote was back in 2016, close to 17. And it was a French book, and it was called Quand ta vraie nature te parle, which means when your true nature speaks to you. And in that book, it was similar to what I'd done with Letters from You to You, but obviously it was like 10 years ago.
Wow.
And just not the same energy, but it was similar in a sense where I've written the book, and it was a little bit more personal and my personal experiences in that one. And every end of the chapters, I would bring in the style that I have now with the new book, which is from the perspective of your higher self that is speaking directly to you. So I did that in the first book, and I really liked it, and I had great comments about it. Um, but I didn't think that I was going to write a second book because I didn't have the best experience with the first one in a sense where I didn't have a lot of help with my publishing house back then, and I just didn't know what to do with the marketing and everything like that. So I had kind of gave up a little bit on the idea of writing another book. And then the inspiration actually came from my higher self, to be honest with you. I was sitting in meditation
Hmm.
and I just heard, you have a second book to write, and this is the title, and this is the way that you're going to write it completely. And
Wow.
so that was my inspiration. I was not at all planning to write a second book, and I wrote it within a month. Like I said, I
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of time as well to write it, but it
Mm-hmm.
was just flowing so well, and this is how it came out. So,
Mm-hmm. And Ellie, I would like to ask more about your book here. Like, which kind of person will connect to your book? And I mean, what kind of hobbies you are doing, and what kind of people can connect to your book? Like, let's say, for an example, if I am writing a book, I am good at finance and background and all. So I will write on finance and how the market structures work, and what this uh, Trump tariff policies will work, and how what's going on this stuff and all. So
mhm.
when I see the contents of your book, the time, the emotional triggers, the unknown, the art of detachment, and keep your heart open, and it's all kind of a psychological factors, and it's aligned with the universe. So how and which kind of people can connect to it, or it's a common kind of a bible to everyone?
Yeah, I think that the book can be really connecting to everyone, every single person in the world, because it is a transformational book where someone can go and just heal themselves completely with this book. Um, you know, you do have to have an open heart and an open mind. I do believe that if you're not ready to receive this book, you will not even be attracted to even the title.
Yeah.
But for those who are ready to surrender to a part of themselves that they don't know, to surrender to something that is higher, and to let go of the chaos from the outside world and start going inside of themselves and really take a good look at their inner world, then I would say this book is absolutely important for you. I know that like anyone who has been going through loss, whether that's a loss of a career, loss of a marriage, loss, even loss of anyone that is dear to them, this is a kind of book that will come and soothe them. It will come and soothe them, but I mean, you will learn how to also just grieve that part of yourself. Because in my book, and I don't know if you read it completely, but there is a chapter that is called Grieving You.
Hmm.
And that chapter is really important to me because when I was writing this book, I was actually grieving a part of myself. So all of these letters were from my willingness to surrender to a level, like a deeper level of surrender. And I was able to receive all of this information. A lot of them, the information I already knew in a way, but not a lot of it was well integrated yet. And
Hmm.
so, it was kind of like my higher self was telling me now that you're an empty vessel and that you've let go of this part of you that needed to die. I was actually losing a business that I had for the last 7 years. And it was really, really difficult on me because we identify with the things that are outside of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So I was identifying myself with this business and I just didn't know what else to do. Financially, it wasn't easy at all. Nothing was very much coming in. So I was just at a point where I just didn't know. I didn't know what else to do. And it's kind of like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, just came through me and said, like, you have nothing to do. You have to be, and you have to let me in and guide you. And that means, yes, emptying yourself and going into the unknown. So the letters, they bring that awareness to the reader that, the art of detachment, the unknown. how to recognize your emotional triggers. Like, where do these emotional triggers come from? Why do you react? Like, it's not, it's all that awareness of like looking inside of you and understanding your conditioning, really. So I do believe that the book is for everyone.
Hmm.
But I would say that's kind of like if you're at a part in your life when and I know actually right now in the world, I think there is so much chaos going on right now,
Yeah.
especially in the
Yeah.
politics and everything, and people are tired and people are looking to be guided in a different way. And
Hmm.
so that book will bring them to stop relying on the outside world and really start saying, okay, I need to be with me right now. I need to understand that part of me that needs to die, basically.
Hmm.
That part of me that is holding on to something that is making my life, you know, that I'm suffering through all of that pain of being attached to so much that I identify myself with from the outside world. So, right now we're being tested. We can't continue to hold on to what is going out outside of us and make that our safety net because
Yeah.
there is absolutely no certainty in the world. So where do you find your certainty and your security?
Hmm.
Only inside of you. But
Yeah.
you gotta have that container to do that work and be willing to look at that part of you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And when you talk about this emotional triggers and the unknown, especially, so it's a third chapter, I think, third letter in your content.
The unknown, yes.
Yeah. So the book, when I hearing from you, it's like a poem. It's a poetry actually, and it's a kind of I'm going in a side of a physics way, emptiness, and unknown, and this stuff. It's actually in equation wise, it exists in the planet. So we have seen in physics and advanced physics and all that. We have uncertainty. We cannot prove that the zero is exist, and we have black hole. We have white hole. There is something is creating. So the universe is trying to tell us something around us, and but
Mhm.
we are focusing on a small, tiny problem, and it looks like that is the world to us. But actually,
Mhm.
it's nothing when we compare everything around us and we made
Yeah.
of what and where is the good and what's happening around us. What is the universe trying to tell us? So
Yeah.
these are very big and huge concepts. To be frank with you, the small-minded people never understand this, and they will be in the loophole every time they're trying to figure out the small problems that they are facing daily, and especially the economical situations are important to everyone. So to survive and for food, shelter, and the dress and all, it's a basic stuff. But
Mhm.
still, the people are trying to fall into politics and
Yeah.
economical trap. And as you mentioned, these problems are making them very tired every day. I
Yeah.
mean, the book, when I read your book and the content and what's inside from the free sample that you have sent to me, and for sure I will buy you a book, and
Oh,
it's
thank you.
amazed me. And the thing start from the time, so which is very important. Everyone start from the timing, right? From the morning we wake up from bed, that the time, and we going to bed again, the time is very important. That's where you started the book. So I
Mhm.
am thinking from the perspective of that, how you got this thought, and from starting from time, and how you align these ideas, and it's traveling in a way like a poetry. So what is the magic behind it? And something is there, some powerful message is trying to tell that you have feel before, or somehow you got that one, and you nicely placed in your book, and it's an art, and how it happened actually.
Well, I actually been journaling since I was 21. And I started, just going deep into spirituality, philosophy, and psychology. And every time that I would read a book or hear a talk about anything, I would sit down and write my thoughts.
Hmm.
This is how I started to journal. And at one point in my life, I got really in tune with my higher self because I did a lot of, and I still do today, silent meditations. And when you're in silent meditation, when you really get to the point where you can quiet your mind, you're receiving insights and you're receiving kind of like a different conversation. And I know that it's intuitive, and I started actually to write at one point where what would my higher self tell me in this moment? So if I would be going through, I don't know, any kind of like difficulty, and I just wanted to put it out on paper, I would want to just listen to what is it that I would want to hear from a higher perspective. And so I started to write that way. And great practice for me. And even though sometimes you can say like, oh, it must have been just your imagination or whatever, well, reading back these parts of me, like when I was writing those things, there's so much information in there that actually I reread, lately, and I was like, wow, like I was really in tune with something that was higher. And even though I was kind of using my imagination in a sense, there was still some intuition there that was coming through me at that time. Um, Obviously, back then I was trying to just play around with it, but I do believe that with this book, it was seriously not me that was coming through. It was something that I was hired. Absolutely. I would reread these letters after I would write them, and I wouldn't even recognize my own writing sometimes because I'd be
Hmm.
like, I can't believe I just, what the hell, and I would even
Yeah.
like, have releases in the moment of just like letter number 11. I don't know if you read that one, but letter number 11,
Merged with me, right?
I merged with me. Yeah, that letter, first of all, I thought it was my last letter. I didn't know that I had more. And it just, you know, I have no idea where all of that came from. And I knew that it wasn't something that I kind of knew intellectually.
Hmm.
So when you read the letters, you also observe, and I didn't even know I was doing that again. So it's all things that I don't know that I'm doing, why I'm doing it. But when you read the letter, sometimes you'll feel like it is poetic, and even it rhymes at places.
Yeah.
And again, that the reason why it goes and does this is because I am in the flow of that energy, and I'm really not thinking about anything that I'm writing down. It is very intuitively. So the I do believe that it's an energy that just flows, and that's why it's kind of like the words are dancing on
Yeah.
paper. So I would say that the art is behind that. But yeah, to answer your question, I do believe that this is what it is. It's like it's difficult for me to explain because it's still a mystery of how it comes out. And
Yeah.
I'm
It's a
writing
magic.
my
Yeah.
second book right now. Yeah, it's magic. To me, it's magic. And I'm writing the second book now too. And it's a little bit of a different kind of vibe, but it's in the same style. And I'm seeing how it continues to be this dance on paper of words that are just like, even like it still rhymes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And Ellie, I have heard that a lot of people have saying to me that if you found a treasure, that means a good book in your hand, it's better to read that book with a good environment, like in a calmness place or in
Yes.
a foresty like kind of a natural scenes in front with a coffee cup and drinking a coffee, a zip, and going ahead with the book.
Mhm.
So that kind of the nature and the environment that we can find everywhere, but it's hard to find the right book to read on that
Yeah.
environment. So
Yeah.
we have tons of books. If you search in Google relating to psychology or whatever the kind of title you have, you can find tons of book. But a lot of people pick the books by the ratings or if someone recommended to them personally. If one of my friend told me that, okay, Ash, have you seen or read this book, this wonderful book, you have to try it, then of course, absolutely, I will go for that. Else, it's very hard to find a book, even there's 100 ratings or 5-star rating. It's very hard to
Mhm.
trust. That means it's hard to trust the internet, to be
Yeah.
frank with you, because a lot
Yeah.
of things are happening, like bots and paid likes, and a lot of promotions are happening,
Yeah.
right?
AI.
Yeah, AI especially, right? And this chat GPT stuff and all. And
Hmm.
in this kind of tricky world, right? So how, I mean, I know you are not much into marketing stuff, right? So you are an author and you are into a creative stuff. So how you find a way to put the book ahead, and how to travel this information to others, and how to transfer this information to others, and what is the way you will find, and in which part you have involved in.
Well, when I wrote the book, I told myself that I would not get in the way in the sense where I knew that the book was kind of important. Well, it is pretty important. And I would let life just show me who I'm going to align with to publish it. I knew that I wanted to publish it. I just didn't know how to do it on my own. So I put it out there at one point and someone reached out to me and it was a hybrid publisher, like I explained to you, which is kind of like a publishing house that just partners with you to help you, put it out there, put it on Amazon, put it on global distribution, and also all of the marketing strategies that comes with that is like priceless in my regard. So yes, I am not great in marketing because I am an artist more. And so I do need that help. And so this is how it happened. It's just like I aligned with this person, and within 2 months, the book was out, and I've had a lot of the, marketing strategies of how to invite people to go and check it out. All of the things really. I have also an audiobook that we did. So for people that are more audio than visual, and that was really fun as well. And again, I would not have done that myself because there's a lot of logistics behind it with finding a narrator and the
Yeah,
recording of the
yeah,
voice and all of that. So yeah, absolutely, I would say, you have to find the right person for you. For me, it was extremely important that the person that would not write a book, but publish a book was aligned with its concepts.
mm,
And I wanted that publisher to be inspired by the book herself. And so that is exactly what happened. And, that my publisher, Samantha, just, and also Samar, they're partners in there. They really feel like it's a life-changing book. And they were like, this has to be in like millions of people's
yeah,
hands because
absolutely.
it's just so transformative. And they actually took a lot of their time to read this book. And a lot of people actually are reading the book in a way that I didn't think that people would start reading it, which is instead of reading it from letter number 1 to letter 21, they're reading it from just they wake up in the morning and they're telling themselves like, okay, what number am I inspired to today? And so they pick a number, a random number, and they start reading the letter from that number, which is really cool because if people believe in synchronicities, I mean, if you choose, I don't know, letter number 4, which is the art of attachment, well, you can really take that book your entire day and just digest it for the rest of your day. So,
Mm,
yeah, so this is, when you align with the right people, you can really do great things with a book. And I do believe that I have a great team of people behind this. So, and it's just the beginning. I mean, it's not even been a year now since the book has been released.
yeah.
But yeah,
And Ellie, I have to ask more question about the book, and I'm trying to not reveal the content. And
you can
yeah,
though. You can reveal a little bit of content. If there are places in that book that you were like, "Oh my God," and you have a quote, like I would love to dive deep in that with you. So don't be shy. I want people to learn about the content so that they are interested, at going deeper with the book for sure.
yeah. And when it's come to bookmaking process, and how you engage with your friends and all, and who are the supportive team behind it, it's a one man army show, or it's a teamwork, and how you seeing this your effort on this book.
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, you do need a support team. I don't have a massive like at the beginning I didn't have like a massive support team because it is a spirituality is not for everyone. So a lot of people that are close to me in my life, they're not all that spiritual, so I couldn't rely on them all that much to bring it forward. But it doesn't change that they still encouraged me to go forward with my dream and everything. Yeah, I would say, the biggest thing that I could say was like the biggest support is having a community of other authors. And this is exactly what we have with my publishing house, which is Lucky Book Publishing. If anybody is interested in doing this, Lucky Book Publishing is the publishing house that helped me and that I'm working with now. And really, we have like an amazing community of authors. And that makes a big difference when you're writing a book. You want to have feedback, and
Yeah.
you want to have your book to be reviewed as well. And so we have already like our first reviewers are all authors. They're all used to like writing, and so they're the best ones to
Wow.
really actually give you the great reviews from the very beginning. So having that support was the biggest support I would say that I've had, was that community of authors that I'm very, very grateful for. Yeah.
Wow. And Ellie, I'm in the 14th page of your book. Let me read a small passage, paragraph.
Sure.
Fear is
What
the
letter?
14th page. This is a
Okay. I just want to
letter.
see what letter.
Let me check.
Probably the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no. No,
Second.
emotional triggers.
Yeah.
Emotional triggers.
Yes, the
Letter number
fear,
two.
right? Fear is the most dominant of all your emotions. It has unfortunately been programmed in you since you were a small infant. So from infant, it was programmed in your mind, right? The fear. So what it's mean actually, and what you're trying to elevate on this paragraph?
Well, when we speak about emotional triggers, usually when you are being triggered by something is because you're reacting to something. Yeah. Um, there's not going to be a big reaction if there's not fear behind it.
Hmm.
And so we've been reacting to things and to people since we were this high.
Yeah.
Because we had, unfortunately, parents that are also, you know, they were adults that react to everything and
Yeah.
to everyone. And so we, as small child or children, we want to imitate our parents. It's just normal for us. We're looking at our parents, and they're the first people that we see acting the way that they see. So obviously we are getting information in that sense. So the first emotion that you naturally will feel is fear,
Yeah.
because it's that part of them that is projected on you. And it's harsh to say, and we're not going to blame the parents, because it's been like this for generation and generation and generation,
True.
because we've
True.
been on survival mode
Yeah.
all of our lives. But that is one of the first emotion that an infant is going to feel. And yes,
Yeah.
of course, there's love that you feel as well, but even the love a lot of the time is not pure love. It is love that is based out of fear, out of attachment from the caregiver.
Yeah.
So
True. So true.
fear fear comes a long way back, and
Yeah.
it is something that we have to transcend. But it's difficult to transcend because it's been in it's just been in kind of like we've embodied it so early on, and since the beginning of when we were conscious enough uh, to receive it inside of us.
Hmm. And there's another nice paragraph I have found on the same 14th page. How do you know if it's a trigger or intuition? If it is creating fear and anxiety, frustration within you, it is not me. If you feel something does not align with you and you can remain calm, you are simply listening to me. A decision should not be difficult to make when you are aligned with me. It was, it's going on a way like a it's not like a reading a book, it's like a poetry, right? So it's
Yeah, yeah,
explaining more about what is trigger or intuition, and what is fear and frustration within you, and how you overcome. So how these words even, and I'm still feeling that magic, and the answer didn't come from you, Ellie. This magic, how it happened. Yeah,
You
how
want to
it
know?
happened. It's like it's a poetry.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's very difficult for me to answer it as like I can't explain it other than this is what I was receiving.
Hmm.
And it is, I do believe that it's very much divine. It is an energy that I was receiving that was just being very direct with me, and I was able to just listen because I had nothing else to distract me. I was
Hmm.
very aligned with that
Yeah.
energy, and I was like, okay, let's go. I'm ready to listen, and I will not get in the way of this entire book. Just tell me, like, what is it that you need? What is the message that you want me to put down on paper? And
Hmm.
it's exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
So,
And Ellie,
so yeah,
this this answer looks like same when Albert Einstein was asked how you came up with this idea E equal mc squared, this equation. How do you found this equation? And he said, well, I found it somehow. So
yeah,
because he did, and he did the hard work years uh, years and years, and this was he was into much into research and laboratory and stuff, and he came up with the equation, and people ask him
mhm,
to explain how do you came, how he can explain that 10, 20 years, decades of
yeah.
experience. It's very hard. Same
It's
thing
very
I'm
hard.
seeing from you, Ellie, that when you wrote a book with
Yeah.
the heart and the mindfulness and everything, when I'm asking how
Mhm,
you write the book, just I ask how it came, it's very hard to
mhm.
answer, right?
It's difficult to answer because it doesn't come from the mind. So
Yeah.
the mind is always very stubborn at wanting to have an explanation.
Yeah.
The mind wants to have proof. The mind is always looking for answers, but the real answers that you can find and the real truth that is really resonating with your soul cannot not be answered by the mind.
Yeah.
It has to be received. So it's not something that I found or that I researched. It is something that I receive from something that has nothing to do with my mind per se. Obviously, the mind is a tool so that we can,
Mm.
translate
Yeah.
vibrations,
Yeah.
thought vibration into words. And so it is
Mm.
useful for that. But there is a difference between, and again, that comes with intuition, there is a difference between, doing research and having facts and putting facts on paper and just definitions and concepts than actually, receiving something that is unexplainable. And that's why it flows the way that it
True.
flows. It is because I'm not using my intellectual mind to receive that information. I have I've actually listened to a podcast once. It was what's his name? He's a physicist, super well-known physicist. He's French.
Mm.
Nassim something. I don't know if you know him.
No
Nassim.
idea.
Anyways.
I have a lot in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Maybe uh yeah, let's
I don't remember his last name, but he's pretty well known. And
Mhm.
I was shocked, first of all, at the information that he was giving and the fact that I could
I
even
but I'm
understand
a
it.
I'm a big fan of Neil Grayson. He's kind of a
Okay.
physicist, yeah. And
Don't know
there
who
are a
Neil
lot of
Grayson
guys out
is.
there doing some
Okay.
physics
Yeah.
and Andrew Huberman and a lot of podcasts going on this scientific stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot of people out there that are
yeah,
giving really great information. Anyways,
yeah.
that guy, I had never listened to him before. And the information that he was giving at this point where he was talking about like protons and
Mm-hmm.
all of these things and in science that I am not used to. I just don't, research that information. But what he was trying to say in this podcast, which made so much sense with a lot of the things that I actually wrote in the book, was like when you decide to be in stillness and to let go of the mind, you actually receive your information so much more clear because the information is already inside of you because all of your cells are connected to this, energy field.
Yeah.
So all possibilities are already all inside of you.
It's totally true.
So
Yeah.
we can just sit down and shut off our minds, and we can receive a lot more information, and great, beautiful information than if we actually, do intense research on things and then just, have this mind being full of like noise,
Yeah.
right? So you would be surprised of how much information you can receive and not having had,
Yeah.
researched anything to receive that information, and it's still very accurate
Yeah.
because you decided to sit down and let your cells of your body just do their work,
Yes.
right? So there's an intelligence that is inside of us that is crazy, unexplainable, that is a
Yeah.
lot more intelligent than the intellectual mind. And we
True.
need to trust and start trusting that. But we
Yeah.
need to silence that part of ourselves to be
Yeah.
able to sit with that.
Yeah, it's totally true, Ellie. And when it's come to a human body, it's a very complex machine. And when it's come to brain, chromosomes and all, it's passing electrons, and it's kind of a current or a power. So sometimes it blasts, new ideas are born, and the innovation, creativity, these all are immeasurable, and it's these are kind of things. Even I have seen, or I have read an article that the human brain that we have used up to now is just 5%. So 95% of human brain is not used yet. So how
Mhm.
far we can think about it. And actually there are a lot of documentaries and the films came from that equation, that 5% to 95%. So yeah, we have done a very good session, and there was an introduction about Ellie, and letter from you to you. That's a book written by Ellie, and yeah, it was a very fruitful session, and we have revealed a lot about the book. I'm sorry for that, right?
That you don't have to be sorry. That's amazing. I want people to know about like
And Ellie, we
parts of it.
have to continue this podcast, and I will record this one as episode one, and I will tune episode two maybe in next week or coming up days. And thank you
Mhm.
very much, Ellie, to join with me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.